Good. We're going to come into a balance now. So if you would like to have a chair handy or go to the wall, that's absolutely fine. You may also need your belts. So the belts that we used when we were laying down, if you needed them to reach your foot, you'll need them again here. We're going to come into a posture called uttitha, hasta, padangusthasana, which is a balance. We're going to, first of all, as always, come into tadasana. So have your belts handy, stand next to the wall if that helps, and bring yourselves into a steady standing posture. Subtly begin to shift your weight into your left foot, and then lift up onto the toes of your right. Bend your right knee, so we're lifting the right foot into the air. If you're using your belts, then wrap your belt around the ball of your foot. I'll demonstrate with the belt, just as we did when we were laying down. Hold on the inside of your leg, hold the belt with the right hand, and your left hand can be on your hip or out to the side if that helps you balance. Okay, so from here, find yourself a still point in front of you and allow your gaze to be steady and soft on that point. Extend the leg out in front of you, just as we did when we were laying down. So check in with your hips. So at the moment, your hips will be facing forward, your standing knee will also be facing forward over your toes, and we want to keep that alignment. So we're going to very slowly begin to take the right leg out to the side, but keeping the hips facing forward, keeping that knee facing over the toes. Okay. If you don't need the belt, it's fine just to hold your toe, just as you did when you were laying down. Pause and breathe here. Feel that extension through that inner thigh, keeping the hips level. Steady in the standing leg. Very slowly return your leg to the centre. Gaze on your big toe. And then bend the knee, release the belt if you were using a belt, and come back into Tadasana. Feel steady through both feet once more, and we'll go to the left. So bend the left knee. Again, if you're using a belt, take the belt around the foot and hold the belt with the left hand on the inside of the leg. If you're holding the big toe, that's also fine. Extend the leg away. Notice the hips are level, the standing knee is pointing over the toes. Find yourself a steady point and settle your gaze. And then nice and slowly taking that left leg out to the side, hips staying forwards. And as the hips both point in the same direction, the knee stays safe, the knee pointing over the toes. As always, with your balances, come out when you feel the time is right. Coming out by gently drawing the leg back to the centre, gaze towards your big toe, and then bend that knee and releasing the foot to the floor back into Tadasana. Fantastic. So standing back in the centre of your mats if you've gone to a wall, we're going to come into uttanasana and then take a twist into parivrtta. So I'll guide you through. So take your hands to your hips. You want to be towards the front of your mats. But you don't need to be right at the front of the mats, just enough space to step back a little bit in a moment. Take your hands to your hips, your knees and ankles together. Soften the knees and take your hips back in space. Keep taking the hips back, keep folding your body over your thighs. So we're hinging from the hips. The body, the front of the body, the torso is relaxed, the neck's long and loose. When you feel that you've hinged as much as you can and you're laying your body down on your thighs, release your hands to the floor or to some blocks or to some books, whatever you can reach. So the torso is nice and long, the knees are bent, and we're laying down on the thighs. From here, we're going to keep exactly the same angle, keep this closed angle between the body and the thighs, but gently lift the hips up in space. It really doesn't matter if your legs become straight or not. My legs are still bent and I can still feel some really good work going on in the back of my legs. If you want to give yourself some assistance, you can hold around the back of the calves or the ankles, grip onto that, allow that to draw your body into your legs a bit more and lift the hips up. Feel free to keep moving and breathing in the posture. So it's quite nice to breathe in and release a little bit, create more length in the body, and breathe out, deepen the fold a bit further. Keep the hips moving up, keep the head moving in towards your shins. Release the hold a little. We're still in our forward fold. We're going to take both hands onto the outside of the left foot. So if you would like a block, it's fine to support your hands on blocks or a stack of books, whatever works better for you. And then we're going to step the right foot back and kick that heel in a little bit so that you feel balanced. The hand that's on the outside, we're going to lift to our hip, and then we're going to push through the hand that's on the floor and turn into a twist. If you can get that twist nice and deep, draw the belly in, twist a little bit further, stack one shoulder above the other, perhaps straighten that front leg, and then extend the hand to the ceiling. It's fine to keep the hand on the hip if that feels better. Take the hand back, soften the front knee, look down towards the floor, release both hands to the floor again, and step forwards with that back foot. And then take the hands onto the outside of the right foot, step back with the left, heel, bring the heel down, remember, to stabilise the posture. Take the outside arm, so this is the right arm onto the hips, take the elbow to the ceiling, draw your belly in, stack one shoulder above the other, perhaps begin to straighten that front leg and float the hand up to the sky. Bring the hand back to the hip, soften the front knee, both hands to the floor, step back into uttanasana, one hand either side of the feet, and just take a nice relaxed forward fold. Bring the hands to the hips, soften the knees, lead with the heart as you come all the way up to standing. Good. So one more standing posture. Bring the knees and ankles together once more. Soften the knees, take the hips back in space. We're not going to come quite as deep this time. We're going to come back into utkatasana, mighty pose. So take the hips back in space, but keep the chest lifted. Ideally, we want the shoulders to be above the hips or directing in that towards that position. Keep softening the knees, keep lifting the chest. And even in doing this, you may begin to feel these back muscles beginning to engage, and that's great. With your hands on your hips, you can push the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades back and down, and then sit back into the posture a bit more. And then we're going to float the fingers up to the sky, arms extended, bring the palms together. Keep the knees deeply bent, keep the thumbs moving up to the sky. Bend both elbows now, and we're going to come into a twist. We're going to take our right elbow to the outside of the left knee. So taking a twist and encouraging that elbow down onto the outside of the leg. If the elbow doesn't reach, it's fine to straighten out the arms and use the lower arm against the leg instead. If you can get the elbow, stay in prayer position and push down with the top hand onto the bottom hand, and that will help draw you into the twist a bit more deeply. The hips want to be level as if you're balancing a tray of drinks on the hips. And if that feels okay, you can take one hand towards the floor and the other hand up to the sky. Keep the hips nice and low. And remember to breathe. Bring the hands back to prayer position. Sweep them into utkatasana just for one breath. And as you breathe out, let's go to the other side. So outside the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Push down with your prayer hands, remember. Keep the knees glued together, keep the hips level. Feel free to shuffle into the twist. Get some nice contact between your arm and the thigh to help you. If that feels okay, you can open up. One hand to the floor, the other hand to the sky. And then take them back to prayer position. Nice big in-breath, utkatasana. And breathe out, fold over your thighs, release your legs. Just take a nice relaxed breath in uttanasana. You can fold the arms, one hand into the crook of the opposite elbow, and just hang here for a few breaths. When you're ready to come up, let's come up like a ragdoll. So beginning to lift up one vertebra at a time. Once you've created enough space, allow the arms to hang, allow the head to hang. Rolling the shoulders back and lifting the head. Fantastic. Come down onto your knees now. We're going to come into gate posture. So with gate posture, you might want to take a blanket under your knees, or perhaps roll the mat up underneath your knees. You may also need a block. I've managed to find my wooden blocks, so they're a bit better than my big thick blocks. And have the block at the right side of the mat. Come into an upright kneeling position and then take your right foot out to the side. So first of all, making the box shape with your legs. Take the back of the right hand onto the inside of the right knee, take the left hand out to the side. Breathing in, stretch up with the left hand. So first of all, creating this line from the knee to the hip to the shoulder to the hands, and make that line as long as you can. Stretching up towards the ceiling. Keep stretching up to the ceiling as you breathe out, and perhaps coming a little bit deeper into that side stretch. Keep that knee over keep the hip over the knee, so the stretch is in the side of the body. Your gaze can be up towards your hands, or in front, or down towards your knee, whichever gives you the best posture. And then turn the palm face up, stretch up to the ceiling, and bring the left hand down to your side. And let's swap legs. So back into kneeling, and then take the left leg out to the side. Back of the left hand onto the inside of the knee, right hand out to the side. Breathe in, stretch up. Take a breath here to find that length. And then keep stretching upwards as you move to the side. And as you move to the side, your other hand's going to track down towards your ankle. Keep that hip over your knee and take the stretch in the side of the body. Be active in the hand. You can try softening and activating, but when we're holding, think about staying active and strong. Turn the palm face up, breathe in, stretch up, and breathing out, coming down. Swap the knees again. So this is where you may need your block. We're going to take the right leg out to the side again. If you want to place your toes onto your block, that's fine, go for it. If your toes naturally come to the floor with the knees still pointing up to the ceiling, that's great. Good, and if you want to repeat the previous version with the box legs, that's also fine. So exactly the same thing, take the back of the right hand onto the inner thigh, left arm out to the side. Breathing in, stretch up, and breathing out, begin to trace the right hand down, the leg towards the ankle. You can rest the hand on the leg as long as it's not resting on the knee. Stretch into your left hand and take it all the way over to the side. Nice deep side stretch. Keep one shoulder stacking above the other. If you can, you look inside the arm towards the ceiling. Turn the palm face up. Breathing in, stretch up, and breathing out, bring that hand down to the side. And swap legs. So take your block, if you're using one, to the other side of the mat. Left leg comes out to the side. Right hip stacking over the knee. Turn the palm of the right hand out to the side. Breathe in, stretch up. Remember to establish that lovely length first of all, and keep the length with you as you kind of a side stretch. Once again, stacking one shoulder above the other, avoid the temptation to fold forward. Keep active in the sides of the body. Extending through the fingertips. And turn the palm face up. Breathing in, stretch up. And breathing out, coming down to the side. Good. Popping your blocks away. And having a lay down. So lying down, face down, you can keep your arms in a comfortable position. Perhaps rest your forehead on the palms of your hands or fists, or you can take your head to the side. If you do take your head to the side, remember to alternate sides so that you don't feel tired down one side. And we're going to draw the knees and the ankles together. I'm sitting up in a more sphinx-like position just so that you can hear me, but it's fine to be all the way down on your mats. So drawing your knees, your ankles together and activating both legs. So from here we want to squeeze the glutes and lift the knees from the floor, but the feet stay down. And then we're going to lift the right leg up into the sky and pause and hold. Perhaps lift an inch higher. And pause and hold. And perhaps an inch higher. And then release. And as you release, bring the knee and the ankle back in line with the other leg, the left leg. Both legs still active, remember, and lift the left leg now. So you can point the toes or you can push the ball of the foot away. Lift an inch higher and hold. And an inch higher. And hold. Just one more inch. And release down. Good. So it's fine to repeat those single leg lifts. They're really good for that glute strength and lower back muscles. If your back's feeling okay, we can lift both legs at the same time. So again, making sure the upper body's nice and comfortable. Squeeze both knees up while the feet stay down. Activate the legs, squeeze the glutes and lift the legs. And hold. Perhaps lift a little higher. And just an inch higher. Hold, stay high. And release down. If there's any pinching in the lumbar spine when you do that posture, so any pinching in the very lower bit where your coccyx is, then repeat the single leg lifts rather than the double leg lifts. So you'll be pleased to know we're going to let the legs relax for a moment and we're going to work with the upper body. So this time we're going to bring the forehead all the way to the floor. So release the hands down by your sides. You want the palms facing into your hips and the thumbs down. The forehead comes down to the floor. And as you breathe in, we're going to lift the head, lift the shoulders, and see how many ribs you can lift off of the floor. Lift the hands up, so the little fingers are moving up to the ceiling. Squeeze the hands towards each other behind your back, squeeze your elbows towards each other and lift a little higher. And hold. Keep the arms squeezing towards each other but straight and active. Extend the fingertips behind you and lift the chest a little higher. And release down. Just take a breath here. You can rest your head on one side or the other. If you've got the head on one side, just turn it over. Have a couple of breaths with it resting on the other side. And then we're going to sew both of those aspects of Locust pose, salabhasana, together. So take the hands down by your sides. And we're going to lift the legs, both legs if you can, otherwise just do a single leg lift again. And then lifting the head, lifting the shoulders, lifting the ribs off of the floor. Hands raised behind you, almost as though your fingertips were trying to reach your toes. So the arms are active and straight, the legs are lifting off the floor, the body's lifting on the floor, and hold. And slowly releasing down. Resting the head down on your hands. Placing your hands underneath your shoulders. And we're going to push evenly up into cat position. So most people are going to want to lift the shoulders first. See if you can't lift the hips first and then push through the hands and lift up into cat position from there. Fantastic. And then take the hips all the way back to the heels. Rest the head on blocks or your hands or the floor, and then take your hands back to your feet. And just take a couple of breaths in child's pose. And then when you're ready, breathing in and sitting up. Coming into a kneeling or a cross-legged posture, whichever feels better for you, and taking hold of your belts or your ties or your dressing gown belts once more. And we're going to work with some shoulder stretches. Take the hands a good distance apart on your belt. Pull the belt apart actively with your arms, so no slack in the belt. Lift the belt above your head and notice what happens to your rib cage and your lower back. We're going to avoid the temptation for the ribs to flare out and the back to arch. We're going to keep the lower ribs tucked in all the time, and to help that you can draw the belly in towards your spine. Lift the arms up to the sky with them pulling the belt away, and then take them all the way over behind you. If you can't get them over behind you, you need to extend, take a wider grip on the belt, and then lift them back overhead. So keeping the arms nice and straight as you do this. Temptation might be for one or both of them to bend, keeping them actively straight and pulling the belt apart. And keep moving the arms over in front and behind the head. If that feels super easy, take the hands a little bit closer together on the belt. Good. And then next time you come back, just release the belt. Take the arms in front of you, turn the palms out to the sides, but by taking the thumbs down. And then swim the arms behind you. Interlace the fingers behind your back. If you can't reach them, use a belt and hold the belt behind your back. And then straighten the arms. So you might need to have a little wriggle to get some of the flesh out of the way behind your back, that's absolutely fine. Just have a wriggle. For the moment, just keep the ribs in. So again, avoiding them flaring out, keep the ribs tucked in. Straighten the arms and drive the knuckles down towards the floor, down towards your feet. And then very slowly beginning to lift the arms up behind you, keeping them straight. It's fine to drop the chin towards the chest. That helps to create some space. Keep the arms straight, keep the little fingers moving up in space. You should find a place where there's a good amount of strength needed to hold, but also you're feeling a stretch in the shoulders. And then release. And give the shoulders a bit of a shake out. Good. We'll work with our neck mobility once more again this week. It's always good to do that. So keeping the upper chest gently lifted, take the chin down towards the chest. And breathe here. You may or you may not feel a stretch, and that's fine, as long as the shoulders remain nice and relaxed and the chest is gently lifted towards the chin. And place the fingertips on the back of the head and gently pushing down with your fingertips and actively lifting up with the head. So the effect is that there's no movement at all, but there's a lot of strength going into this. So we're pushing the fingertips down and we're pushing the head up. And release the work with the head and allow the fingertips just to draw the head down. The chest still stays lifted, remember. And release the hands and gently float the head back up. Take the right ear to the right shoulder. Just feeling a stretch down the side of the neck. And lift the head up. Take the left ear to the left shoulder. And lift up. Lift the chin to the sky. Remember to be cautious with the weight of the head. Keep the chest lifted, but keep the lower ribs tucked in. Then lift the head up. Then we're going to turn to the side, so turning the chin over the shoulder, the right shoulder. And then going the other way. So taking the chin over the left shoulder. And then facing forwards. Good. Come onto your backs. And have the soles of the feet on the floor, the knees bent. Take your arms by your sides. And we're going to work with Dvipadapittam. So we're going to push the lower back into the mat and lift the tailbone off the floor. As you breathe in, lifting the hips up, keeping the arms down by your sides. And then as you breathe out, allowing the back to roll to the floor again. Breathing in, tucking the tailbone, lifting the hips, feel the spine coming off of the mat. And breathing out, rolling back down. Each time you come up on the in-breath, feel you come up a little bit higher and perhaps lifting the chest in towards the chin. And breathing out, rolling back down. The next time we come up, we're going to hold. So breathing in, unpeel the back from the mat. Feel as you come onto the backs of your shoulders, you might want to come even higher onto the tops of your shoulders. So you can walk one shoulder in and then the other. The hands begin to move a little bit closer towards the heels of the feet and push through the feet to lift you actively onto the tops of your shoulders. If you can interlace your hands behind your back, draw the elbows towards each other, draw the shoulder blades in behind you. That's great. Keep pushing through the feet, actively lifting up. If you can bend the elbows and bring your hands onto your hips, then please do. And if you do manage to do that, keep lifting your hips out of your hands. Don't rest down. Keep lifting up. If you're not quite there, that's fine. Just place the hands wherever they reach and keep lifting the hips up. Good. Allow the hands to come back down to the floor. Take your shoulders back, backs of the shoulders back on the floor, and allow the back to come all the way down. Good. We're going to repeat that, but you're going to need to come to a wall. If you know that you can come up with your hands on your back without the wall, then that's fine. You can repeat it there. Otherwise, it's quite nice to come to the wall anyway, because it gives you a little bit extra height. So come to a wall and have your feet, your toes at the wall, your hips nice and close to your heels. And then we're going to walk ourselves nice and close to the wall. Okay, then take your feet and place them on the wall. Walk even closer. So we're going to bring bottoms as close to the wall as we can. Feet are on the wall, hands are down by your sides. So exactly the same thing, but this time the feet on the wall gives us a little bit of extra height. So unpeel the back from the mat, push through the feet, tuck your t-shirt in, your t-shirt's going to come up, and then interlace the fingers behind your back, squeeze your elbows together and draw your shoulder blades in behind you by walking one shoulder in and then the other. Push into your feet so that your hips come nice and high over your shoulders. Bend your elbows and place your hands preferably on just above the hips. If they come to the buttocks, that's fine. Lift your hands up as high up the back as you can. And then we're going to lift one foot from the wall and the other foot from the wall. If you feel nervous about this, just keep one foot on the wall, that's absolutely fine. Or you can keep. For those of you who are happy, lift one foot, lift the other, and perhaps curl over so the feet come to the floor over your head. And then lifting up, place one foot on the wall, place the other foot on the wall, and coming down. So undo the shoulders, unpeel the back. Okay, so if all's well with that one, we can go a little further and come into a fully active plough pose. But notice that you can stop at any point on that journey. So once again, pushing into the wall. Get the positioning with your arms first of all, so squeeze the shoulder blades into the elbows in towards each other, the shoulder blades in towards each other. Take the hands onto the back as high up as you can, and then lifting one foot, lifting the other, and bring the feet to the floor. If you can tuck the toes under, then tuck the toes under. Keep your hands walking up the back as high as you can, walk up onto your shoulders, tuck the toes under, and straighten the legs. Be an active plough. We want the tailbone pointing up to the ceiling, legs strong, toes tucked. And breathe here. When you're ready to come out, lift one foot, lift the other. The wall's exactly where you left it, so you can come back to the wall, undo your elbows, undo your shoulders, bring your back slowly down onto the floor. And pause there. Just rolling onto your sides, coming back away from the wall. And then we're going to come into a counter pose. We're going to come into a variation of fish. pose. So sit with your knees bent, soles of feet on the floor, the hands are behind you with the fingertips pointing in towards your hips. And we're going to lift the upper chest and take the head back behind you. Only take the head back as far as you know that you can lift it back up again, and keep the upper chest lifted strongly. Keep pushing up through the hands, lifting with the upper chest, creating space, and then take your head forwards. If that felt okay for you, you can come onto your forearms, so drop back, so the fingertips are pointing to your hips, you're onto your forearms, lift the chest. So if you don't do anything else, it's this lift and squeezing of the shoulder blades together behind your back, and then allow the head to drop back. Lifting back up. If you feel you can go a stage further, then we're going to come onto the elbows. Take the elbows a little bit closer to the hips, point the fingertips up to the sky. Lift, so push into your elbows, lift the chest, and allow the head to come all the way back. Keep lifting up with the chest and lifting up, back onto your forearms, pushing back up. Good. And then have a lay down once more on your backs. Have the knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. Take the arms out to the sides. We're going to end our posture practice just as we started it with Jatara Parivrtta. But this time we're going to pause in the posture. So next time you breathe out, take the knees down to the right. You can have your knees and ankles together or apart. It's completely up to you. Allow the head to drop down to the left. And breathe here. Allow the mind to trace up the body, the ankles, the knees, hips, shoulders, the arms, the neck. Anything that needs to release, just breathe into that space. You can lift your knees up towards your armpit if that feels okay for you. Perhaps hold the legs down. Breathing into any parts of the body that need to release and breathing out. And as you next breathe in, lift the knees up to the chest. And as you breathe out, take them down to the other side. So taking the knees down to the left, looking towards your right hand. You can have the knees and ankles apart, you can draw them together, or you can draw the knees up to the opposite elbow. And once again, breathing into any parts of the body that you feel need to release. And a nice, soft, slow out breath. And the next time you breathe in, draw the knees up, hug them into your chest. Realign the spine along the mat. And then drawing your warm things around you for your relaxation. So gather towards you any blankets or eye pillows or pillows that you need.